Good morning. Welcome to day 12 at Quantum Stivity DeStress series. Hello, buddies. Hope this day's finding you well. Here's your water. Hello. So this morning on the phone we have Audrey Elizabeth. They're 7-year-old cousins. And Audrey Elizabeth lives in Saskatchewan, Canada. She's with the First Nation tribe. And they are Mayflower descendant cousins. And Elizabeth Audrey lives in Oklahoma. They both have issues going on that we're going to be tapping about, right, girls? So, let's see. There we go. Let's start tapping right away. We're going to tap on the karate chop point. So for the girls, what they were doing is we were talking about the differences in opinion within what their parents are each doing. So Audrey Elizabeth, Audrey's parents, she is up in Saskatchewan, Canada, and so her family is part of the First Nation tribe, and their tribe is split in that, let's start tapping because this is stressful for the girls, in that some of the tribe believes that we ought to be protecting the land for climate justice. And so they've actually been, and this is also going all the way down into America with the First Nation tribe here, is that they're protecting the climate by protecting ecosystems so that we're not overrun with development and fossil fuels and things like that, and then we can actually help the humanity to thrive. So what they were saying was that keep on tapping. And then Elizabeth down in Oklahoma, so her mom and dad are part of the policy making team in Oklahoma. And so what her family did was for coronavirus, they started the Families First Coronavirus Small Business Response Act, or no, Families First Coronavirus Response Act. So all of them in the House of Representatives put together this idea and presented it to the Senate. And in Oklahoma, in the Senate, the 2 Oklahoma senators said they were 2 of the 8 who decided, no, we're not interested in doing that. But everybody else in the Senate, the whole majority senators, Republicans and Democrats, both said, yeah, we're gonna do this. And so we were talking about how within their systems, each one, the First Nation and the U.S. government, or in Oklahoma, were very different ideas on what we ought to do both for the climate and for coronavirus. So the important thing to know in healthcare, we know that not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. So part of the things that conservatives really love is moral value, is what it says. I was looking at this policy and politics in nursing and healthcare. And so that's Mason's book, and conservatives oppose a strong government role in assisting the disadvantaged. Keep on tapping on your karate chop point. And they also say they call for a diminished presence of government in all aspects of policy, reduced tax burden, and the importance of traditional social values. This is important. And then the other thing it says about liberals want to make sure that basic needs such as food, shelter, healthcare, and education of members of society are met. So with the, keep on tapping. So we were talking about these two issues because they're very intricately intertwined. Like coronavirus, we know that bacteria and virus thrive when we have climate warming. So climate warming on the entire planet is a very important issue for humanity to thrive, and that is a social value. So that is a conservative value. Well, what happened with the Families First Coronavirus Response Act was that the two Republican senators, Inhofe and Langford, decided that they did not believe that that act really was very helpful, although what it applied for everybody was 10 days of sick leave if you got coronavirus, and free testing, and expanded unemployment insurance. So when you say that not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted, and you're talking about like a moral social value, which conservatives feel traditional social values, the importance of that. Something that is a social value is what is important in our hearts to thrive as human beings. And when we're tapping on these points, like this point right here, we're slowing down the firing to the amygdala, which is our fight-flight system. And when we slow down the neurons to go to the amygdala while we're having thoughts that are anxiety-producing, so keep on tapping on the karate chop point. So girls, this is fantastic that we were talking about this. So when we're looking inside of our heart and we see that there are massive fires and big floods, and we hear the scientists tell us that the hurricanes and the billions and trillions of dollars around the world that is being spent to repair buildings and infrastructures, when people are hit with these forces of nature that are way beyond anything that we can actually we can't just put out these fires. Like in California, our sky was dark at noon for 3 days, right? And then longer, it was just horrible breathing. So we're getting very, very, very sick, and it is a moral social value to keep us healthy. And to do that, sometimes we have to look at something. We have to set our wings free and fly in a little bit more free way, not dependent on whether you are conservative or liberal. So we have many organizations in healthcare, and we have libraries where the data coming out of libraries is peer-reviewed and consistent. And one of the things that happened in Oklahoma was, instead of wanting to go with this Families First Coronavirus Response Act, the senators wanted to buy the medicine that President Trump at the time, back then, said hydrochloroquine. That pill. He said that that worked for coronavirus, but science said no. Dr. Fauci said no, science said no. And we have all these different kinds of science, qualitative and quantitative, which is like quantitative, what you can actually count, and qualitative is more experiential, right? But it also has significant value, so social value. So when we look inside of our hearts, right, and we see that we're not accepting something, we're in denial about something, what we can do with the tapping, what tapping does is it helps us to move through the period of accepting exactly what is inside of us. So the First Nation, some of the First Nation up in Saskatchewan, so what they were saying is that some of them are really mad at Chief Joe for stopping the Keystone Pipeline. That's not your parents, right, sweetheart? But some of the people in the First Nation tribe are saying, oh no, there's not going to be any jobs, right? So, but what they're not thinking is that they have to set their minds and bodies free, right? And look inside, like inside of them, they have this denial, right? Oh no, I can't. We're not going to have jobs. But if you tap on that and say, you always put the problem over here, right? You start with the tapping. You start with even though, and then you put the problem in a box. I have this denial inside of me, right? I have this denial about accepting the reality. The climate justice is going to require less fossil fuels. That's what the science says. So why build the Keystone Pipeline? Let's build something else that doesn't create and use fossil fuels, and that will keep us healthy. So even though you put even though, the problem in a box, I have this denial inside of me. And then in the end, you always say, I deeply love and accept myself. And accept is a magic word, because accept means that even though I have this feeling inside of me, and I can see it, and it creates, it makes my heart hurt, or it makes my stomach tight, or it makes my leg hurt, or whatever. Your shoulders go up like this because I'm nervous, right? So even though I have this denial inside of me, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So we're going to start tapping on resistance to health, and then doing the right thing in climate change. So the First Nation tribe, they can create jobs with another thing, like building windmills, or windmills that will go out in the ocean, right? So it's not on the land and creates noise, but will be out someplace, and the earthquakes won't disrupt all the work that we did. And we can use recyclable products completely. We don't have to use we don't have to dig up iron out of the ground, or copper, or any of the metals. We can use what is already being used to have abandoned buildings be repurposed. And like Bernie Sanders had this teacher, Jan, in Vermont, she made his mittens out of recyclable. She repurposed wool sweaters, right? Keep on tapping. And she also used recycled bottles that were made into yarn. So we have to set our wings free, and we have to learn to fly in a new way. Like the hydrochloroquine, I don't know why I can't say that word today. I could yesterday. But so that medicine, science says it does not work. And so if we had followed the science, then those senators would not have $2 million worth of that medicine sitting in Oklahoma. So we have this beautiful book, Hawk, I'm Your Brother. And this young boy has a hawk that he's taking care of. And the hawk is learning to fly that day, all right? And it says, and this is beautiful, it's also illustrated by a Smithsonian Institute and Audubon magazine illustrator. And so it says that he has to learn the force of air and the pull of wind and the feel of freedom. And that is what tapping is about. It also says maybe he jumps 100 times before he seems to catch the wind, before he lifts himself into that summer sky. That's also a Japanese proverb that says we fall 7 times and stand up 8. So what's important about that is that what emotional freedom technique or tapping does is we tap on an issue, we tap on the resistance, we tap on the denial, but we also accept ourselves exactly where we are. And in accepting ourselves and loving ourselves exactly where we are, keep on tapping, then we can actually see it, we can feel it, we allow it, and we are loving ourselves for having it. And in that love and accepting of that being there, then it is transformative. Then it allows us to feel the freedom, the tapping, right? The oxygen, instead of going to our arms and legs and running away from the danger and denying it, stays in our prefrontal cortex, the prefrontal cortex. And there we can think about the next best thing to do. So let's tap on the denial of having beautiful health with climate justice, right? So even though, and we put the problem in the box next, right? Even though I have this denial inside of me, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So imagine yourself in radiant health, vibrant and running around, right? And playing. So we're reducing our stress levels and we're raising our immunoglobulin levels by doing the tapping. Imagine yourself in radiant health and say after me, repeating, even though I have this denial inside of me, for radiant health, I accept myself. Even though I have this denial inside of me about having health with COVID-19 in my environment, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though, good job, girls. So good to see you. Even though I have this denial inside of me about having radiant health, I deeply and completely love and accept myself exactly as I am, with that denial in me. This denial for radiant health, this denial that's right there, I want to run from it. I don't want to look at it. I refuse to look at it. I don't like it. I'm not going to look at it. It's right there. This denial, I'm afraid to look at it. It might hurt to look at it. Then again, it might not. Might not be a problem. Might be okay to look at it. I can see myself in radiant health. I can see that beautiful radiant being. I can look at this. My neurotransmitters and my hormones are changing as I tap. I see myself free. I can learn this. I can learn how to fly. and do the next best thing. And feel the pull of the wind. I can feel that spirit inside of me. When I accept me. And I accept any denial in me. I am walking. Both sides. I am walking and talking in radiant health. I am that magnificent being. I feel the freedom in my mind and in my body and in my spirit. Thanks, beautiful girls. Love you.